All right, let's take a look at gold before the FOMC meeting. Granted, things will probably be volatile after that meeting, but so far, gold is doing what it typically does. I warned my subscribers that this was probably going to be a very volatile and whipsawing first daily cycle. It's starting to look like we've formed a half cycle low here. Again, we'll have to wait and see what happens after the FOMC meeting. But gold is, you can see the RSI is kind of ping-ponging back and forth between tagging overbought and oversold. And this morning it's rallying quickly off of this oversold level and has marginally formed a swing here. We're going to have to get back above the 10-day moving average. But let me show you a couple things here. So this is the intermediate trend line. The intermediate advance has to break this trend line before we can possibly get a top. And this is the mistake that many traders make. I've said this before, they trade emotionally. Probably they have too large of positions. If you're putting on a large position on the first daily cycle in gold, the cartel's going to knock you out. They're going to whipsaw this thing and try and prevent it from rallying. Obviously this didn't happen naturally, this big sell-off after the reversal on Friday. And it's impossible to guess when these things are going to happen, but they, you can almost bank on it happening. But that doesn't mean that they are going to succeed in stopping the intermediate rally. I've said this before, the cartel, they will win some battles, but they aren't going to win the final war. And gold is ultimately, it's going to break out above that 2090-ish level, and we're going to get a breakout, and then we're going to have a big run. I don't know whether it's going to happen this year or next year, but it's going to happen. They are not going to win the war, but they are going to whipsaw emotional traders multiple times. So depending on what happens after the FOMC meeting, this may turn out to be the half cycle low, and then we come up and like I said, we've got to break this intermediate trend line before the intermediate advance can be done. So it's kind of ridiculous, stupid to sell as long as price is below this trend line. You would be selling not at the top of an intermediate advance, but maybe at the bottom of an intermediate advance. And that doesn't make any sense. You want to sell at tops and buy at bottom. So as long as we're underneath this trend line, we're closer to a bottom than we are a top. So it doesn't make any sense to sell down here. You want to sell at a top. So you want to sell up here somewhere. Clearly we are not up there somewhere. The intermediate advance also has to break and close above and turn this 10-week moving average back up. We haven't done that either. And I kind of warned my subscribers the other day when gold tagged this 10-week moving average that there would probably be an attack to stop the rally and prevent it from getting above that trend line. And that's exactly what happened. And again, I'm assuming this is probably only a half cycle low, probably not a full daily cycle low, so we aren't done yet. If this does turn out to be a half cycle low, we could rally up and maybe tag the trend line, maybe break above the trend line, and then we get another move back down that's takes us back down takes gold back down into that full daily cycle low. And and that'll just be more whipsaws for emotional traders or traders that have stops that are too tight. Tight stops on metals, especially during your first daily cycle, are just guaranteed more or less to give you losses. They just don't work very well because this is very often what happens. You can see here the first daily cycle that came out of this intermediate cycle low came up, tested this resistance zone, and then came all the way back down and tested and actually closed at a lower low, but than this close, but it obviously didn't break below this intraday low. But, anybody that was trading stops just got stopped out. And then, probably the same thing happened here again on the second daily cycle. And it wasn't really until this third daily cycle that we really got some upward momentum. I don't know that it'll take 3 daily cycles for this to get some upward momentum, but I can tell you that this first daily cycle, and if this is a half cycle low, is probably going to be pretty volatile, and the cartel is going to just whipsaw traders to death. But as I said, doesn't make sense to stop out of your positions as long as gold continues to be below this intermediate downtrend line, and it doesn't make sense to stop out as long as gold is below that 10-week moving average and the 10-week moving hasn't turned back up. Again, you don't want to make a mistake of selling at a bottom. You want to sell at tops and you want to buy at bottoms. But most people do the exact opposite because they're just too emotional. They have too large a position on. There will be a time where we can really take aggressive long positions in the metals, but it's not yet. We're still caught in that really large cup and handle pattern. We're still caught in the handle, and the cartel is still fighting to keep this suppressed. Again, the narrative, the Fed is trying to fight inflation, so they're going to throw everything in the kitchen sink at gold to try and keep it suppressed and try and keep it locked below this 2090 top here. They're probably going to try and keep it locked below 2000. We saw what happened when it rallied above it right here as immediate attack, take it back down, another attack to prevent it getting back above 2000 there. So as long as the Fed is fighting that narrative of inflation, they're probably going to try pretty hard to keep gold below 2000. So this is not going to be an easy market to trade. You're going to probably get whipsawed a lot, but those parameters have to be met. You have to go above the intermediate trend line. You have to turn the 10-week moving average back up. So I know it's hard to fight your emotions, but you don't want to sell at bottoms. You want to sell at tops, and you want to buy at bottoms. So we're closer to a bottom than a top because we haven't completed either one of those parameters yet. And again, this is probably just a half cycle low. So we're not done with this. We could get a nice rally off of the FOMC statement that may even come up here and break this trend line, but then, give it all back again as we come down into that first daily cycle low. So this is going to be a very difficult market to trade here for a while yet. But we will get some momentum, and I think we will ultimately, we're going to get a nice run like we did here, but we're going to have a fight with the cartel for a while before that can start.